Welcome to IT Stuff. We're now on day 22 of BCB Radio's live rolling coverage of the death of David Bowie. And we're rocking out with my fellow mourners, Stefan.
Hi, David.
And Dick.
Yo.
And Chris.
Hello.
And She.
Hello.
And in the show today, we're going to be starting a new series of Brian's interviews from Leeds Hack. Stefan will be talking about Debian GNU Linux, and there's She's World of Stuff.
Ooh.
Wonderful! First, here's some random news from the world of technology. A data recovery firm says it's been working on Gene Roddenberry's floppies.
Oh my.
Yeah, he died in 1991, people. I memorised that from Wikipedia earlier. But apparently the great bird of the galaxy, I feel dirty saying that, but that's what they call, yeah, you know. Anyway.
Why would they call him that?
It's some sort of a...
Insult?
No. It's Wikipedia says it's a reference to something or other to do with
something or other. That's nice and vague.
Look it up. What about that?
It's what the internet's for. Look it up.
Yes, exactly. It's what the internet's for. Look it up. He left anyway. Back on the subject. He left 200 5.25-inch floppies behind in his archive, and they discovered them a year or two ago, and they must have thought, ooh, there's money in this, obviously. So they've set some data recovery firm on it, and they say they've got, quotes, lots of documents.
Yeah, I've heard that they had to decrypt the encoding of those floppy disks, which were not...
non-standard, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lesson for everybody else, isn't it? You know, like all you people out there with all your DOCX files and stuff. God, Lord. If there's anybody out there who doesn't know what a DOCX file is, well, you're the problem. Right, anyway, there you go. So, data recovery is where the money is, I guess.
Well, it's where lots of money is, because people go, I've written a novel, and then I accidentally deleted it. Can I have my novel back, please? And they go, yes, £10,000, and people will pay that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, first they go, did you have a backup? No. The money.
And there's a famous story about the chap who had who was in a plane crash, and he explained that the cloud saved his life.
Oh my goodness.
You heard about that?
Oh, yeah. On the subject of that, did you see? As we normally talk about Hello Kitty Airways on this programme,
yes.
Did you see that Hello Kitty had got hacked?
Yes.
Wow.
3.5 million user accounts
Oh
from HelloKitty.com or
Lily,
whatever.
12 years old.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Oh my.
Thrill a minute. Anyway, so there you go. One of the Star Trek tech things that actually came true is...
Teleporters.
No, not that one.
No?
Replicators.
No,
No,
not
that's
that one
Stargate.
either. Okay, try communicators. Did that
No.
come true?
No,
No.
they're
Those
different.
did.
No, the ones on Star Trek, they definitely flipped open. We don't have that sort.
Yeah, we've passed that.
We had them in the 2000s. Motorola things. They're killing Motorola.
Oh.
Did you? As a brand.
Well,
Well, didn't they
the brand
mix
name.
together with Sony Ericsson or something?
Yeah.
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 You're sidetracking me.
Sorry.
What are you people like? Google Translate. Right? It's like the universal translator on Star Trek, isn't it? Google Translate. How's that working out for us? Well, there's a few bugs in it, like machine learning. You know all about machine learning, don't we? That it's just like a toddler. It picks up whatever rude things you say to each other while the toddler's listening. What's actually happened with Google Translate? You'll love this. It picked up some translations from Ukrainian websites. So Russia has started to get translated as Mordor.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, Sergei Lavrov got translated as sad little horse. They fixed it now.
What does that mean, sad little horse? I mean,
it's probably an insult in
it's not a very good insult. I mean,
You sad little
nobody's ever shouted, you sad little horse, at me while I've been walking down the street.
That's because you're not in Russia.
That's because you're not a horse, you're not little, and you're not sad. And most of all, you're not little.
Happy big men.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a terrible insult.
Exactly.
No, it's not.
It's a good insult.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
That would be the insult for a Russian diplomat.
I'm guessing it is, yeah.
Well, okay. Piracy news. Did you see all those torrents that came out over Christmas and New Year?
Wouldn't know anything about
No,
torrents.
don't know about that sort of thing.
That'd be
Totally
illegal.
innocent.
You're talking to the wrong people.
Very innocent.
You need your other meeting. This is not that one.
I go to the movie theaters to watch movies.
Sometimes I wonder who's in charge on this show.
You are.
Okay, right. Anyway, there was a huge loss of torrentage and things over Christmas and New Year. Specifically, there was a release group called Hive CM8. They've apologised to Quentin Tarantino because they torrented The Hateful Eight before it even came out in the cinemas. And they said, quote, "We never intended to hurt anyone."
It's true.
Because it's short of cash, you know.
Yeah, okay, well, you're heartless, really, aren't
Yes,
you?
I am. I'm in pain.
We're all short of cash. They haven't said they didn't mean to hurt me.
I don't think they did mean to
No,
hurt you.
they
though.
didn't.
Well, they haven't hurt me, but that's not the point. Okay, anyway, right, okay, so moving on, seeing as that one's got no
We just don't
traction
know anything
with you
about
people.
piracy.
No, we
That's the
don't.
problem. You're talking about a subject that we just have no experience of.
So, like, okay.
Are we discussing the ethics of piracy? Is that it right now? Is that what it's about?
Is that why it's a short discussion?
Probably.
In fact, we're talking DMC right now, are we? Because as far as I'm concerned, what they are doing when they are releasing a new movie, they give very specific versions of the movie to be reviewed by people,
Yes.
and you have digital signatures inside the movie, so they would know who leaked the movie.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happened with the batch that came out of Christmas and New Year. It looks like they've all been review copies for like the Oscars and the Golden Globes and all that sort of thing,
Yep.
and they all leaked. Anyway, so these people have said, "Oh, right, we're not going to leak it." Well, okay, they don't do a southern John Major accent, do they? Because they're a release group, not
No.
a retired prime minister.
They might
but,
be.
Oh, they
Why
might.
can't they?
It might be John Major on the side.
Yeah.
No?
Mate, he's retired. Is he still alive? He's retired. He needs a hobby.
Okay, anyway, they've said they won't be releasing any more releases until the cinema release has been released.
So the journalists get a ticket to watch
Yeah.
and review in the cinema. Okay.
Yeah. It'd be good to be a journalist, wouldn't it? Privileges.
Always, yeah.
Cool. And in other news, Bird Sister, who cracks games and of whom I had not previously heard. I dare say you're all denying having heard of Bird Sister as well.
Totally.
Fine, okay. She's blogged that games are getting more difficult to crack.
That's so unfair.
And yeah, it's just so unfair. She would know. Yeah, she says, according to current trends in the development of encryption technology, within 2 years, I am afraid there will be no cracked games.
It's because in 2 years the game will be 99% DRM.
Oh.
And then there'll be this little bit of code for the game.
But I've heard this one before anyway, definitely about 15 years ago, same thing being said.
Oh,
It's not a... Well, you know, it gets more and more complicated. It's one of those things. It's like Moore's law, obviously. You get this technology gets more complicated, so the encryption that you do, which is just makes the program hideous and jumps all over the place. It's kind of what happens. So that gets hugely complicated, and then it takes a while for the technology to catch up in order to sort of emulate that jumping around all over the place. So, you know, maybe with today's technology, the games from 2 years from now will have a problem. But, you know, with the technology from 2 years from now, who knows?
okay.
Well,
Well,
with regard to games, I mean, there's a renewal of the independent gaming experience. I like this idea.
yeah,
They
yeah.
are most of them are releasing their games without those digital.
Well, yeah, it's a real pain
Ex-
to have
exactly
that sort
like
of
Chris and
digital...
Shay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's really fun. You have plenty of. In fact, in the UK, I found one called Puppy Games, and they have plenty of really nice games. A bit retro style, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's like the stuff of Chris and Cheese it's in the Steam store now, isn't it?
It's on Steam, yeah.
Yeah. Or were there actually 2 by now?
We've got an art package on Steam, but it's not released yet. We've just been greenlit.
Okay, right. Yeah, we'll look forward to that on the show. Brill. Thank you. Okie dokie. So there you go. Moving on, it's probably time to introduce Stefan, our studio guest this month. He comes all the way from Harrogate. We're not worthy. And we're going to talk about Debian GNU Linux. So, Stefan, I guess theoretically, we're here to mark the death of Ian Murdock, who was the Ian in Debian. Although, let's not dwell on that too much. Let's dwell on what he's left behind.
Better than talk about the how do you say that? Controversial death. Let's talk about the legacy and the great stuff this man did.
So what, just for the listeners, what is Linux? What's it good for?
Okay, so Linux, it's not an operating system. Linux is a kernel. A kernel that's basically the brains of your operating system. So other operating systems also have usually a kernel. This kernel contains on Linux, it's called a monolithic kernel. It contains all the drivers to plug your USB devices, your keyboards and hard disks and all this stuff. But the kernel by itself, it's like a brain, but you don't have the limbs. So you need everything that surrounds the kernel, those programs, those utilities, stuff to copy files, file managers, file systems, all these kind of things. And most of those tools on the Linux world are provided by GNU, the free software, basically the GPL. You have a license, the GPL, the GNU public license, and you have the GNU software, which is basically all those utilities and toolkits and tool chains to write programs, to compile programs, which are provided by originally the founder is Richard Matthew Stallman, as known as RMS. But basically, you have the Linux kernel, and you have those GNU utilities, and the whole is making a Linux distribution. And Debian is a Linux distribution.
In fact, it's one of the most important ones because it's the foundation of Ubuntu and Mint, which people are more likely to have heard of.
Exactly, yes. I'm not that old, but people of my generation usually had. There was quite a large number of distributions, basically, back in the days. I think Debian is dated 1993, something like that. But basically,
just after Slackware, I should point out.
So Slackware, that was a distribution.
Not only that, you Debian people cheat when you say it's only a couple of weeks, because the date for Slackware before Debian was even announced was actually a release.
Well,
whereas the Debian announcement was just a vaporware at the time. But hey, no matter.
I don't know about that, because in my early beginnings, I used Slackware on floppy disks. Okay.
Oh, excellent.
So Slackware, that's a Linux distribution from Patrick Volkering, and it was at the time a fabulous distribution. It only took me a couple of weeks just to figure out how to get a window environment. But at the time there was modems. It was not the fast internet we know nowadays.
The crucial thing about Debian, though, is that it was the community that he started and the collaborative development.
The message that this chap sent is basically, we are going to build a Linux distribution. It's going to be portable across architectures. So nowadays everybody thinks that there's only one stuff, which is the Intel PC, but at the time and still nowadays there are plenty of microprocessors architectures, and for each and every microprocessor you need to recompile those programs in order to make them run on those architectures. So imagine compiling a whole Linux distribution for all those architectures. That's one of the challenges that Debian decided to take.
Yeah,
and it had a massive impact, a positive impact in the computer industry, but also in the business industry where I worked. So that's how I came to discover Debian.
And of course, the Raspberry Pi's main distribution is Raspbian,
Raspbian,
which
exactly.
is a derivative of Debian. Well, it really is.
It is a
Debian.
Debian distribution, yeah.
Of course, the silly so-and-sos, Debian has this policy of not cross-compiling. It's crazy. When I did Slackware for the Pi, I did it all as a cross-compile. Everything's fine, but of course Debian policies, made by this vast community of people. They have their standards, don't they? They have really high standards in Debian.
No. I think you can, of course, you can cross-compile from Debian distributions.
Okay. They may have changed it since the
probably,
Raspberry Pi episode.
Cross-compiling, for the one who are not very familiar with the idea, is basically compiling a program from within a particular architecture, let's say your Intel PC, but your compiled program will be running for another architecture, let's say your mobile phone.
So there you go. Thank you very much indeed. And the whole legacy of the way that works is really down to Ian Murdock, isn't it?
Oh yes, Ian Murdock, thank you very much. Rest in peace, guy. The other thing is, thanks to you, I was able to work in Paris with Debian and discovered virtualization on Debian. On non-virtualized microprocessors, all that thanks to you, and you gave me 5 years of good work in Paris, so thank you, mate.
Excellent, there you go. So that's Debian GNU Linux. We have to say the GNU because it's Debian.
I agree with you.
Thanks very much indeed, Stefan. Moving on, this is IT Stuff on BCB Radio 106.6 FM. Coming up, we've got Leeds Hack and we've got She's World of Stuff. But first, let's hear it for IPv6. 20 years old this week. Amazing. How much of the world's traffic runs on IPv6? Any guesses, everybody?
10%?
10%.
You read that.
You read that from the script. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Does it say it on the script?
I like to make sure we get the right answer. So there you go. 20 years, 10%. There you go. Still, we might get some movement this year, finally, when Sky and BT starts moving residential customers onto IPv6. There you go. Also, it's the birthday of Roy Batty out at Blade Runner.
Very important, he's 0.
Zero.
He's about 3 days old now.
A crazy, pathetic name for a replicant. Roy Batty. Am I supposed to be frightened?
No.
No.
No. It's good because I'm not.
They don't. It's really bad to build killer robots that frighten people. That's the thing.
That is true.
You need to. You need to have the friendliest name, and even if you're building a killer robot, you need to make it friendly.
Yeah, okay, fine. But Batty, come on. Anyway, never mind. Apologies to anybody who really is called Batty out there. Okay, and now it's time for She's World of Stuff. So that's fantastic, She. What's in your world of stuff this month?
This month we have the Bullport Club, which is basically a monthly delivery of electronic goodness. So what does that mean? It means it's kind of like a monthly subscription, like if you have like a magazine. So instead you get tech, which is kind of cool if you're into soldering and all those tiny little Arduinos or chipboards, whatever. As a member, you receive a project every few weeks, and you gain access to their members-only discussion group. So I don't know what's in store because I'm not a member yet. I'm just checking it out first.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not jumping into the pond. It's about £49 a month. So you get I think three stuff a year, so 3 little projects. If you go to their website, which is www.bullport.com, which is BOLDPORT, you get to see all the awesome things that you can get. If you're watching us on YouTube, I don't. Okay, my screen is really small, so you can't really see it. But it's tiny little
chipboards. Shove it in its face. Go on, shove it in its face.
It's a bit too bright. All you can see is
go
it's
for
bright.
it. Yeah, we are on YouTube, viewers, by the way, in case out there in Radio Land, because we think we might get a bigger audience that way.
Yeah.
7 subscribers.
Wow.
Sorry, carry on.
So they have things like a soldering kit where you can practice soldering on tiny little diodes and puzzle kits and all that stuff. So it's really, really cool if you can spare £49 a month for such things.
It's not a month, is it?
A month.
Ooh.
Yes, it's quite pricey.
Okay. Well, mind you get all the bits.
I think, yeah. So that's why I'm holding holding back a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. And the other thing, which I'm interested in, which I've been using recently, is a memory USB OTG adapter, which is so cool. If you can see it again.
The tiniest thing.
Oh, you've lost it. It's gone. You dropped it. We're never going to... Oh, there it is.
There you go.
It's sort of like smaller than it's fingernail, really. No, it's not even thumbnail.
So what you do is you stick it into your USB.
You've got a huge hand, Chris.
A USB port like that, and then suddenly you can connect it to
So instead of
micro
those
USBs.
Ridiculous
Long leads.
silly leads and that,
Yeah.
fiddly...
you just have a direct connection, which is pretty awesome, I think. So yeah, I've been using that, and it's been really, really good listening to music on my phone with an external drive.
It's not going to cost people £20. is it?
No. I mean, you can get it on Amazon for like £3.49, but you can get it on eBay for 99 cents,
Including postage?
including postage.
Oh,
so,
my word.
so there you
Hey,
go.
I'll tell you what, we're living in the future, aren't we?
Are we? Yeah. Yeah. At this price, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they might have it in Poundland. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. And finally, obviously, is the Oculus Rift, which is on sale now. So for the
Right,
public,
go on.
which is the
rich public.
The rich public, because
how much
it's
is that?
$599. Yeah. So
That's a heck of a lot.
no idea who's going to buy it.
Well, they've all sold already. It's too late.
Except it's all sold out.
Wow.
Apparently, yeah. So It's-
Some people can really afford to play that.
How does that
yeah.
work?
It's the same price as a games console nowadays. So
Well, it's like buying a big TV.
or an
Yeah,
iPhone.
but you would
So-
need
Or a game.
a
or-
console
Oh,
to
no.
put with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you
I
need
mean,
to spend
it's-
another 2K on a PC. To
Or an
run
actual
stuff.
PC powerful enough to, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea of the quality of the displays inside the Oculus?
Well, it's apparently what?
I think it's the same as the
1080?
DK2, isn't it?
Oh, really?
So I don't think they
1080p?
actually changed. Yeah, it's the 1080p. They're quite. Apparently, it's got better. We haven't tried it.
We
do
haven't
actually,
tried it.
We've got one that will come to us because we did the.
We are the founding
Kickstarter.
members because
Yeah,
the founding
wow.
members get a
Oh.
free kit.
I saw that.
So-
I didn't know you were founding.
Yeah,
We're-
so it was
Oh,
really
right.
really cool. I got
So
an
the-
email and I'm like, okay, I'm not that angry at you for selling out to
It seemed quite
Facebook.
expensive, but now I just don't
You
care.
said
What's-
all
what
those
happened?
things about Facebook
Yeah.
here on IT Stuff.
I stand by it. I still stand by it.
Don't you?
Still
Because
stand
you're
by it.
not to be bought
No.
by a mere $599.
No.
No.
But don't you need some kind of ridiculous
Excellent.
graphics card like a 980?
We'll see
Well,
about that.
technically, but I mean, it's just a display, so it'll run lower res on other stuff.
Hopefully.
Like New Year's?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for my Wall of Stuff.
Fantastic, thank you very much indeed. Moving on, long-term listeners will remember our roving reporter Brian's interviews. Well, we're delighted to announce that we've got a whole new pile of interviews from the most recent Leeds Hack event. Okay, I'm trying hard not to say that it was 2015, but it's only January, so it's not that long ago. So starting right now, here's the first interview, and this one's a little bit meta. It's Hack Day of the Tentacle.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Eugene.
I'm Jacob.
And Henry. We've got Henry at the other side of the table there. Eugene, you've got this program called Visionaire. You're running currently on Windows, but you told me it's cross-platform.
It is.
And it's commercial, but there is a free version, so it's like a freemium model. Yeah? And using this to design the game.
Yeah, we're making retro point-and-click adventure game.
Right. And the game's based on.
The game is about this event, Leeds Hack.
Right.
You play as the organizer, Dominic, or Dom, and you solve all the problems people have at the event, like internet failing, someone stealing a bottle of beer, and silly things like that. We're gonna actually take photos of people at the event and put them in the game as characters. We go around and take photos of the actual rooms and we put them in the game as playable locations.
Right. And you're taking pictures of people, and you say you're going to sort of pixelate them and make it look a bit. Are they going to look a bit like Minecraft?
Well, we aim at the classic LucasArts and Sierra adventure games like Space Quest, King's Quest, Monkey Island, games like that.
So when you have this program running, do the characters move on their own, or what do you do to make them move?
Henry here is animating the main playable character. Most of the NPCs you meet and can talk to, they're not animated, they're just standing there. And if we make a character that you can come and talk to, the game will switch into dialogue mode, where you will have a very big close-up on their face. At the same time, we can put lots of characters in the room and make them recognizable when you talk to them.
Speaking to Henry now about animation, what program you use to do the animation?
I'm basically going to be drawing everything in Photoshop. I think Eugene will actually help me with the animating. I'm just going to be drawing the frames for it.
Yeah, draw frames in Photoshop and then Visionaire Studio, put the frames together into animated sequences.
Notice on a piece of paper here you've drawn some characters in various different movements. So, for example, you've got one that's got his leg up and one that's where he's got his leg down. So, presumably, you're drawing frames between these two. Or is there some program that will actually create these frames between the two different extremes?
It's not going to look very smooth. I have to draw more frames for it to make it look smooth.
So you've got to draw each individual frame.
It's going to look a bit jumpy, so we're going to keep it simple.
It's done in the old-fashioned way that cartoons were done, then, effectively, because that's how all the old cartoons were all done that way.
Yeah. So the moment what I'm doing is we're basically talking about what we need to draw, and then I'm basically drawing it on paper as a concept, and if we all like it, then I redraw it on Photoshop. And I'm doing it this way because it's easier and quicker to draw it on paper, so at least this way, if we don't like it, then we haven't lost as much time.
Yeah, and then what you're doing is you've got a pad there with a pen, and that's writing it up on the screen.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then you can do it from there.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Jacob, what are you doing?
I'm designing the quests for the game and writing the text that the characters are going to say.
So the text is just what the characters are coming up with rather than speaking or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you everyone.
No problem.
Fantastic. Did you get that? That's Eugene and Thomas and Jacob. They went to Leeds Hack and they made a game about Leeds Hack. Better still, among the photos of the various developers that they took, turns out our very own Chris and She.
Yes, we are actually in that, yes.
In that game.
In the game. Your character's in a game. Somebody else's game. Which is really weird for you.
Do you want to know what we did at Leeds Hack? Well, we didn't actually do it, but in the game we made a bomb and had to have it removed from us before we blew the building up. That was
what we did.
That was our role in the game. I don't know where he gets this idea from, but we're like that.
Really, right. Brian, if you've got the postal address of Eugene, Thomas and Jacob for service of legal process, Chris and She would be really grateful for that. Thank you. No, next month there's also going to be a podcast of the entire interview collection at the main IT Stuff website, I think, sometime.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. Good. Excellent. So that's going to be on itstuff.org.uk. There's our YouTube with 7 subscribers, and there's at IT Stuff Radio on the Twitters. Before we go, because we've got a rush, big shout out to John Leach, who kindly donated 2 very nice, big, cracking good monitors to BCB, which got snapped up by the management, obviously.
Yeah, but you get the hand-me-downs, don't you?
And one of the management seems to have broken the button on the front of one of them already. That's really
dear.
Good, isn't it? Predictably. So let's leave you with this music in tribute to the proprietor of the failed 90s ISP, Bowie Net. Chris found it on the YouTubes, as he always does. It's fantastic. Best bit is the outro. We'll probably have to fade that. Sorry. Ta-ra!